The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Welcome back, everybody. We're on Chapter 4.
Wow, I feel like we just talked about Chapter 3.
We did just talk about Chapter 3. Literally!
Chapter 4. Sanctuary. Wasn't that a Walking Dead location at one point?
The Sanctuary. Whatever. Oh, that was the Saviors, wasn't it? That was Negan. I'm confusing it with Terminus. Yeah, so that was Negan's place.
That whole show's terminously ill now.
I'm going to adopt the Ed McMahon laugh whenever you say something particularly funny.
You could probably find a soundbite of poor Ed McMahon. So at the end of Chapter 3, he rescues Yoda from the doctor.
And blasts off into hiding. So now let's talk about this. Baby Yoda, does he have some kind of a GPS tracker in him? How do these fobs work?
Right, because he did find the baby carriage. Because if the baby carriage was he's no longer he's no longer attached to it. He's just a free little baby running amok in the right. He didn't take. He left that in the garbage on the side.
Obviously, somehow they're still being drawn to him with these fob devices. So whether it's an implant, if it's just going off of him biologically, I don't know.
Or if he is, as we speculate, a clone, they could have just somehow built something in him that's, keep track of him.
Because even in this episode where he thinks he's off on some, distant planet where they're never going to find him, Bounty Hunter shows up with a fob.
He can't escape this guy. He can't go anywhere. This episode was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah, I saw that at the end. I'm like, is that the same? Right? Is this somebody with the same name, or is this
I guess that
she
has talked about that she wanted to get into directing, and Favreau gave her the opportunity. Now, again, without knowing that, the look and feel on this one is a little different because he's on a different planet, but you really wouldn't know. So this is nice. This is nice that he's given his friends opportunities to cut their teeth on a TV show that billions of people are probably watching.
Yep.
This was, to me, was much more Seven Samurai, Rambo.
Absolutely.
Actually. I mean, this was almost straight up Vietnamese village.
Yeah. This wholesale takes right from those samurai movies, and it's been going in that direction steadily since Chapter 1.
Right.
But this is just unabashedly stealing from that original setup of the Seven Samurai, which has been stolen many times.
Please. Bug's Life. A Bug's Life. That's all that was.
Yeah, it's a Bug's Life, Magnificent Seven, Three Amigos.
Yes. Three Amigos. We are the Three Amigos. Ooh.
And going even into Army of Darkness. That actually,
shit. Yeah. Wow, that's really gone deep. There's actually an episode of the Clone Wars they straight up just stole, because that is exactly what goes on in that episode, where they're trying to teach with the sticks and everything. I mean, straight up trying to teach these indigenous people to stand up for themselves. Just like the Jawas, I guess Womp Rats are just universal. Everybody knows what they are.
They're just on several planets. It's not like that they can move from planet to planet like the Jawas possibly can,
but maybe if they're like vermin, like a mouse that gets on a cargo ship and goes from one continent to the other, maybe they kind of just infiltrate ships and end up in one port to another.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a generic term in that universe, like Kleenex, instead of.
There you go. they used to be a trademark. Now
just whatever vermin is on the planet is a Womp Rat. So we get Mando and the child. They're fleeing to this planet after they break out of the bounty hunter ambush. So he's successfully gotten Baby Yoda away from Werner Herzog. They've landed on this planet of krill farmers. So it's...
Yeah, that was very well kind of... I mean, for the split second that you kind of see this culture, it's kind of neat how deep they went with it, with the krill that they were farming them, fishing them, or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not really like an Endor type forest, but it's more like
the
rice paddies that you would see in Vietnam. So that's what this planet is sort of based on. These farmers are harvesting what looks like bright blue shrimp out of the water.
Neon.
And they probably sell it to various restaurants around this planet.
There
right?
you go. Yeah, probably.
Fresh
Well, you
grill
see,
today.
like their drinks were blue, so you could tell that they were using them for multiple purposes.
But they get raided on a regular basis, and it's a great scene at the beginning of the episode where you see, business as usual on this planet of krill farmers, and there's one particular little town are harvesting their krill, but suddenly these monster bandits come out of the woods, and it looked like creatures from The Fifth Element. It was like that kind of a piggish, brutish thing.
Well, we've seen one of those species before in Return of the Jedi on Jabba's barge.
Oh, really? Like a throwaway, or was he a...
Yeah, he was just like one of the guys on, I think it was on the skiff. So I couldn't tell you what the species name was or anything, but we had seen them before. So once again, they're not coming up with anything brand new. They're really kind of digging deep and bringing some of these species that we've seen in the backgrounds and just fleshing out who and what they are, I guess.
The setup is that these things come out of the forest every once in a while to raid this village and take all their krill. Whether or not they're going to sell it themselves or they just eat it is a little bit ambiguous. So this little town is in fear of these bandits, and enter Mando and the child. When they land on this planet, he's at a nearby outpost, and there's this adorable scene where he orders some soup for baby Yoda, some bone broth, I think they call it.
Yep.
But he runs into, was she like an independent contractor, or did she work for the rebels? I wasn't quite sure.
I wasn't. I think it was left a little ambiguous as far as whether or not she really had a connection or if she was just kind of a freelancer.
Right. And did you catch her name, her character's name?
Was it Cara Dune?
Cara Dune. Yeah, I think that is the case. So Cara Dune is Gina Carano. That we know from Deadpool, from the original Deadpool.
I did not pick up on that. You can't confuse her with her sister Carousel. I heard she gets around. Oh yeah, I got an Ed McMahon laugh.
They have a knockdown drag out,
which was actually fun
because Cara Dune thinks that the Mandalorian is after her because he is a bounty hunter after all.
Right, correct, yeah.
So now she's pretty much, I think she's a deserter. She said it herself.
I was going to say, she's kind of like in hiding herself. Yeah, and all of a sudden.
Yeah, she fought for the rebels on the Battle of Endor because she mentions Endor.
Mm-hmm, yep.
And then she fell out with the rebels. It seems a lot of people are disheartened with the rebellion and the New Republic in this universe, only 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi.
Well, say what you will about the Empire. I mean, they had their shit together.
Yeah, and they totally disrupted everything when the rebels took over. So they've got to
set up
like you said,
your currency is no longer.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people were looking at the rebels and be like, "What the hell did you do, dude?"
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense looking at it from that point of view, how the First Order came to be.
Right.
So easily and so quickly, it seemed. Because that was always a big question.
Right. Yeah. It's a big void. Someone's got to step in and someone will step in. I mean, that's like anything.
So they're on this planet. The Mandalorian manages to convince Cara that he is not after her, and seeing Baby Yoda with him kind of does a lot to convince her that he's telling the truth.
And the little village children love Baby Yoda.
Yeah. That
was fun. Well, go to say what you will about The Last Jedi, but they did bring in those kids from Canto Bight or whatever that planet was, the casino planet, and those kids. So I think you're going to see, because you have to see the next generation come up and take over the mantle. So I think you are going to see a lot of more children in The Rise of Skywalker. That's my take, my guess.
So now that we have two of these warriors on planet, the villagers see their opportunity and they make the Mandalorian an offer with whatever that they can scrounge together for him to come and protect their village. Endless.
It's like a sizzler now.
Yeah, it's like the bottomless buffet. It's all you can eat.
All you got to do is take your helmet off. No, I'm good.
Yeah. And that's what we get in this as well. How does he take a shower? How does he eat?
Right.
But yeah, when he's alone, he is allowed to take his helmet off. It's just nobody else can see.
Yeah, he does explain that, right? You're not supposed to take your helmet off.
But he also explains that he's not a true Mandalorian.
Yeah, I thought this was great that he was, and again, this goes back into, the introduction of children, because we've seen that flashback a little bit of his parents or they're under attack or whatever, and he looks human. I mean, we don't know what a true Mandalorian looks like, but yeah, he refers to himself as a foundling, which was the Mandalorian culture will find, even sometimes being the enemy's children, but if they think that they're worthy, they will take them in and raise them as one of their own. And that's exactly what happened with him. So just like, where Boba Fett just kind of stole the armor or at least we're led to believe. This guy at least was raised in the culture, so he can refer to himself as a Mandalorian because he adheres to the code.
Right. So he is still considered by his own people a Mandalorian, even though he's not technically.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
So he agrees. He goes off with the villagers. Once he realizes, I think he's working it out in his head early on in the episode, that he wants to drop off the child here.
Yeah, he sees that. He sees that at least Yoda will be taken care of, and he can leave him with good conscience.
Yeah, and if he takes care of these bandits, then he can leave.
Yep, correct.
He convinces Kara to come along with him on this, and he's, it's going to be easy. Don't worry, we can handle this.
Right. Oh, the best laid plans.
Until they realize that these bandits have an ATST, which is the same two-legged half AT-AT battle armor robot.
The chicken walkers.
The chicken walkers that you saw in the Battle of Endor at the Empire. So somehow that they purloined one of these things from the Empire, and they're using it.
But again, if the Empire crumbles, all of their shit's just laying around somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
And I love it how as soon as Mando sees that that's there in their camp, he comes back. You have to leave this planet right now.
Right. He's like, this is not what I expected.
But, they can't do that. There's no means for them to leave. So he's kind of stuck. Now, if he wants to help out the child, he's got to beat these bandits. Yeah. Then you get the big training scene where Kara and Mando are training the citizenry of this town on how to fight.
You would think at some point someone would have stepped up and already done this. If they're constantly being raided by these guys, do you just all right,
and it's not like that they don't have access to travelers in this town. That's
right.
Port that you see the Mandalorian coming into. Maybe they have. Maybe everybody, everybody else have told them to go scratch until now.
It could be. It could be. But yeah, this is the biggest Seven Samurai moment here, where you're getting everybody ready.
The big hero strangers coming into town and defending them from these raiders. Yeah. Which they do, and they also they put a plan in place to take care of the ATST, which is pretty much they just wanted to step into the bog.
Right. All right, you get it there. I'll just push it over.
And, they're not having it. At first, it does not want to step into the bog. It stays a little bit behind, and it's firing at everybody from that vantage point until they do coerce it in. And after a nice firefight, nicely done, I add, by Bryce Dallas Howard, nicely choreographed, they take it down and they defeat the bandits. So the episode is going to resolve itself by Mando leaving the child there, but it doesn't happen that way.
No, and that's where I said last week's chapter episode, which was, this is fun, but where are we going with this? We can't just have every chapter he's on the run, he goes to a different planet, we see a different locale, and he gets attacked by another bounty hunter or someone else who's trying to take Yoda. There's a point where we need to figure out why they want this thing and what's he going to do about it.
So now we are halfway through it.
We are at the halfway. So we really
4.
only have 3 more chapters before Rise of Skywalker drops.
Correct.
With the finale afterwards. So, there's going to be Rise of Skywalker is what, 23 years after Jedi? More than that.
Don't they treat it as real time, as if when Jedi was released, because they have to, because of the age of the actors involved?
Yeah, right.
So
85,
however long, 83 from when 83
30. I don't know. I married
36, right? 36,
I married an accountant for a reason. I don't have that many fingers, so
let's see, 1, 2, 3.
So right, there would be a 36 year gap in the storyline. So whatever happens to this baby Yoda, are we going to see a whole Clone War ship of Yodas come out at the end and defeat?
We're assuming that this is a child or an infant.
Well, Yoda died at 300, right? Wasn't Yoda when 300 years old you become? So
in Yoda years, we don't know how old this being
I thought
is.
They said it was 50.
But in Yoda years, we don't know how many.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, apparently he's, all right. I don't know.
Because if it is a clone, and maybe nobody's ever taught him English or how to speak, or
is that Yoda's whole problem? Yoda was just a clone the whole time.
He had to teach himself English, so it's kind of backwards. Yeah. So it could be a child, it could be a teenager, it could be in his 20s. Who knows? Who knows how old this
you brought up, the Pedro Pascal's, his acting abilities and the fact that he's encumbered by this suit at all times, and yet he's able to emote as much as he has. And I'm wondering, is he doing the dialogue live, or is it all being looped after the fact? Because
I think it must be looped.
Because I would think that there's got to be muffling issues going on with a microphone inside.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's he's doing the dialogue, but then he's going to have to go back and loop it.
And a lot of his performance is based on the camera work as well, because the zoom ins of the helmet or the zoom outs, or to try to express what he's
Correct.
feeling.
That's the camera work is really doing a good job of conveying some of that emotion that he can't bring forth, without facial expressions. But even like when he was fighting the Mudhorn, you brought it up, and you painted a picture perfectly, which was, you just see him standing there, this thing's barreling down on him. He's just kind of like, he's like eyes closed. He's just like, here we go, like these are moments that you have to kind of fill in the blanks and paint the picture of what this character's really kind of thinking and feeling. So I might be disappointed when he does take his helmet off, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and will he do it in front of? Because it has to happen.
Oh, she was so ready to take that thing off.
Yeah, and it almost is successful. Almost.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So is he going to do it in front of another character? Is it you're just going to see it, when he's alone, or is he just going to do it for Baby Yoda, or who knows? Yeah. Maybe he sits to use the vacuum tube and he takes it off.
He takes it off. Sitting on the station. Oh, Mando.
Yep.
So that's it. So chapter 4, like you said, we're at the halfway point now.
Yeah, we are.
But these are you can go back and just binge all 4 of these and probably pick up on things that we didn't even see the first time. They're holding together. I like it.
For you, because you have to inform me often when we're doing this show, where these references are coming from in terms of, if it's Rebels, Clone Wars. This is like a candy store for huge Star Wars fans like you that know the minutia of where these things are coming
this is what I thought was so fun about Solo, but apparently I'm the only one who felt that way. That again, they went, they really dug deep into source material, and we're pulling up stuff that, the nerds out there who read all these novels or, the comic books, and were tickled pink to hear the names or whatnot. But yeah, this is something special, man. They're doing a damn good job. And the production value is top notch.
Loving it so far.
So hopefully you guys are as well. I mean, apparently if you're listening to this episode, then you're as into the show as we are. Cool.
So yeah, come back on hear our take on chapter 5. Come back next week.
I'll be here.
See you later.
We are the 3 amigos. Ooh,